No one expected this double center from the Celtics in the win over the Pistons. Bro, tell the truth. How many times have you seen the Celtics on the court and thought, what is this coach doing? If you love the NBA, but always feel lost when the team changes its rotation or invents a strange formation, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you, in a simple way, what this double center was, why it surprised the squad, and how this idea could completely transform the Celtics game from now on. Before we get into this tactical adjustment, do the following. If you like the NBA, Celtics, and want to understand what's behind the game, subscribe to the channel now, because every big game has analysis like this here. Leave a like to show YouTube that this content deserves to reach more fans, activate the bell so you don't miss any tactical breakdowns, and stay with me until the end, because I'll show you move by move how this double center changed the game against the Pistons, and could change the future of the Celtics this season. Let me take you back to that night in Boston. 3 days earlier, if someone had mentioned the name Amari Williams in the Celtics locker room, the reaction would probably have been simple. He's the kid from Maine. He's developing. He has potential. A player in development, playing many minutes in the G League, away from the brightest lights of the NBA. There was no indication that in such a short time he would be on the court, in a packed TD Garden, directly involved in a decisive sequence of a tight game, with the result in his hands. Literally. And yet that's exactly what happened. That Wednesday, the Boston Celtics faced a Detroit Pistons riding a 13-game winning streak. It wasn't just another regular season game. It was one of those matches where either you impose yourself or you let your opponent grow once and for all. And here comes the interesting part. Boston was without its starting center, Neemias Queta, out with an ankle injury. This affects the entire structure of the team. The rotation changes, responsibilities are distributed differently, and suddenly, names that barely appeared become fundamental. That's when Amari Williams steps out of the wings and takes center stage. He didn't start playing. He came in from the bank discreetly, with that look on his face as if he knows he has a great opportunity, but cannot allow himself to be consumed by anxiety. On the other side, the direct duel. Jalen Duren, one of the most physical and competitive young centers in the league. No comfortable marking, no easy minutes. It was welcome to the NBA in the crudest way possible. And notice one detail. If someone just looks at Williams' box score, they will think it was an ordinary performance. 1 point, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks. In cold statistics, it is not the type of game that usually attracts headlines. But basketball, especially at the highest level, is not just about numbers. It's about timing, positioning, reading the game, mental toughness, defensive discipline. And in that invisible sum, Amari was enormous. There were several plays where he simply did what the team needed. He protected the rim, contested shots, used his body intelligently, and didn't let himself be intimidated. Remember that we are talking about a newcomer, newly arrived in the rotation, facing a physically established center in a tense game against an opponent who was on a very positive streak. In many cases, the young man comes in, commits quick fouls, loses the timing of his moves, gets lost in the blocks. With Amari, it wasn't like that. Now, let's go to the moment that practically becomes a symbol of the night. There are 4 seconds left. The score is 117-114 for Boston. Cade Cunningham goes to the free throw line with a chance to tie the game, makes the first one, and somehow the team gets an offensive rebound after the second shot. In a situation like this, any hesitation in the fight for a rebound could be costly. It's that kind of move where the fans hold their breath, the coaches almost enter the court in tension, and the players know that one detail defines everything. Cunningham pitches. The ball leaves his hand, and while everyone is looking at the basket, Amari Williams is already focused on something else. Jalen Duren's body. He doesn't need to do anything spectacular. He doesn't need a plastic dunk or a cinematic block. His job is simple and very difficult at the same time. Blocking the opponent at the right time, taking Duren out of the play, preventing him from having any chance of getting the rebound, and he does it with precision. Perfect box out. Duren is neutralized. The ball drops, Peyton Pritchard gets the rebound, and the Boston Celtics secure the victory. On paper, the stat goes to Pritchard. In the video, for those who like to look beyond the obvious, the play belongs to Williams. It's the type of participation that doesn't appear as a point, assist, or steal, but that decides a big game. After the match, the praise was not protocol. It wasn't that, and he did well, he contributed, is a generic thing that would be said to any rookie. Derek White was direct. He highlighted the difficulty of guarding a player like Duren, highlighted the physical level of the game in the paint, and recognized that Amari imposed himself, changed shots, made blocks, and delivered very good minutes just when the team needed it most. And there is an excerpt that sums up the context well. It's as if they had told him, "Welcome to the NBA, you're going to guard Jalen Duren, deal with it." And he did it. Jaylen Brown wasn't far behind either. He talked about the pressure, the weight of the match, the fact that Amari hadn't been part of the main group for so long. Even so, he comes in, makes an impact, shows that he knows how to pass the ball, that he understands the game, and that he's not just another big body on the court. Brown calls the acting top-notch. That's no small feat coming from one of the cast's leaders, but perhaps the most revealing part is in Joe Mazzulla's speech. The coach doesn't just praise the player, he talks about the structure that allowed this to happen. Mazzulla highlights the connection with the Maine Celtics, the work of the coach there, the assistants, the player development department. He shows that none of this was the result of chance. Amari didn't parachute into that situation. There were hours of training, studying plays, understanding defensive coverage, preparation before games, everything designed so that on the day he was needed, he would be ready. Notice how important this is. Williams had only 7 minutes of NBA action before this match, all at moments of little relevance when the game was already decided. Still, when the ball really weighed in, he showed that he wasn't lost, that he knew what to do, where to position himself, how to communicate with his teammates. This speaks volumes about his mentality, but also about the Celtics' level of organization as a franchise. And here comes a point that, as a content creator and as someone who likes to analyze the game beyond the score, I find fascinating. The NBA is full of stars, but it is also full of silent stories like this. These are the players who don't appear on t-shirts in stores, who don't lead all-star voting, but who, on a specific night, carry a huge chunk of the team's responsibility. Now, looking a little ahead, the scenario makes everything even more interesting. The Boston Big Box is going through a moment of attention. Neemias Queta is recovering day by day, trying to come back from a sprained ankle. The team has a tough sequence ahead, 5 games in 7 nights. In a marathon like this, it is practically certain that the rotation of pivots will have to be adjusted, that minutes will be distributed carefully, and that, in some matches, the team will be missing in the position of 5. Who does this make room for? For precisely those who showed that they were ready when the opportunity presented themselves. Amari Williams. From this game against the Pistons onwards, he stops being just another young man in development and starts to be seen as a real candidate for consistent minutes. Not necessarily as a starter, not necessarily as a protagonist, but as someone the coach can trust in pressure situations. And for a player just starting his NBA career, that's worth its weight in gold. The next chapter in this story already has a date, time, and opponent. The challenge against Rudy Gobert and the Minnesota Timberwolves, away from home. It's not just any test. Gobert is one of the league's great defensive references in the last decade, 3-time winner of Best Defender of the Year, a specialist in protecting the rim. For a young center, facing him is almost like taking a final test in defensive positioning, reading the pick and roll, footwork, and physical strength. If Amari repeats the same attitude against Gobert that he had against Duren, focus, discipline, ability to execute the game plan, he will come even closer to consolidating his space. And even if the numbers don't appear exuberantly, the simple fact of sustaining the team's defensive level without compromising the structure will be a huge step. When we look at all of this, what stands out most, in my view, is the combination of 3 elements: preparation, opportunity, and response. Preparation, the training sessions in Maine, the silent work, the minutes on the court away from the spotlight, the insistence on learning the system, the nights of video study, the willingness to accept corrections. Opportunity, Neemias Queta's injury, the need for someone to take over the role, the game against an opponent in great form, the context of pressure at TD Garden. Answer: don't hide. Don't let nervousness take over. Do the simple things with excellence. Execute the fundamentals in decisive moves. Many people look at the NBA and only see the great narratives of the stars. But when you pay attention to stories like Amari Williams' victory over the Pistons, you better understand how a winning squad is built. It's not just having the big names on the court. It means having players on the bench ready to enter and maintain or even increase the level of intensity and concentration. And if we think of Boston as a candidate for big things this season, it is exactly this type of piece that makes a difference in long playoff series, in games where someone is injured, on nights when a starter is missing, or simply on a bad day. Having someone like Williams ready to deliver solid minutes is important insurance. So, when you hear about a double center, tactical adjustments, different formations used by the Celtics, remember that behind the design on the coach's board, there are people like Amari, players who, in a matter of days, go from a smaller gym in the G League to a decisive role in a game that breaks an opponent's long winning streak. Players who gain the trust of their teammates, coaches, and little by little, the fans. Ultimately, this story isn't just about statistics, nor just about one specific game. It's about how, in the NBA, one detail changes everything. A well-made box out, a well-timed block, a well-executed defensive rotation. It's about how a rookie, with just 7 irrelevant minutes of previous league experience, can step onto the court and, in 15 intense minutes, prove he deserves to be there. And it is precisely this type of trajectory that is worth following closely. Because today we talk about Amari Williams as a rookie who surprised against the Pistons. But if he continues to respond like this at every opportunity, it won't take long for him to be seen as an important part of the Celtics team. And when we look back, we'll remember that game at TD Garden as the moment everything started to change for him. So when you look back at this game, don't just think about the score of 117 to 114. Think about the symbol it represents. In 3 days, Amari Williams emerged from the anonymity of the G League to hold one of the heaviest moments of the season against a dominant center in a boiling TD Garden. This isn't just a good story. It's a reminder of how small details, executed with courage, change the destiny of an entire team. If a newcomer can enter like this, under maximum pressure, and respond with maturity, imagine what could happen to this squad if these pieces continue to evolve, if this double center is polished, if these alternatives become natural within the system. It is exactly this type of silent adjustment that, up front, decides the playoff series, decides control of the court, decides the title. And if you want to continue following this type of reading, breaking down every tactical detail, every different formation, every adjustment that the Celtics make throughout the season, don't stop here. Once this video ends, go straight to the Celtics Analyzes playlist, which will be in the pinned comment. There, I delve deeper into other matches, show how the team organizes itself on the court, compare games, explain the coach's decisions, and the evolution of each member of the squad. Click on the playlist, stay with me on this journey, and let's follow, step by step, how games like this are building the Boston Celtics' true identity this season.